Okay, hello, come on in. My computer looks a little bit like it's moving kind of weird, but come on into this show. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips, host of Just Connect, and I have some great guests today for you. I do want to just remind you that if you are watching this on Facebook, that is great, but if you do miss it, you can still catch it on Facebook, or I have a YouTube channel that you can always go to right here, and you want to make sure that you type in Dr. Natalie Phillips, hit subscribe, and then hit the notification bell. And then you will be notified every single time that I've got a new episode that drops into the YouTube channel there. And then, so before we get to our guest today, I'm going to start with our intro video and then we're going to get to it. All right, so enjoy. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips, host of Just Connect. I am an audiologist, a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a connector. This life is about connecting for the right reasons and to the right people. I believe making authentic and true connections lead to growth, change, and impacting the world. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips, host of Just Connect. I am an audiologist. Okay. I just sent a text to my whole entire family to say, get off the internet right now because everything is just a little bit slow here. So hang in here. We are going to be introducing some awesome guests. So I'm going to bring them in one at a time. And we've got 1, 2, and 3. Okay. All right. So hopefully we don't get I'm just going to turn the video off real quick. Okay, hopefully we don't get too much of a lag. I'm sorry about that. I know that there's a lot of usage of the internet here, and we are trying to make sure that we limit that in our household. But there's 2 of us right now on the live stream. Right down here is my husband, so he can't get off the phone. But I do want to welcome our guests here. So we've got Nicole Sattler from Nourish Nutrition. We've got Jason Phillips from, well, I can't say necessarily where he's from. He's a strength and conditioning coach. And then we've also got my friend Michele, and she is the nurse. So welcome, everyone. I want to go around one by one, and I want to have people just introduce themselves and kind of share a little bit more. I'm super excited with this social distancing. I wanted to get not only my friends on here in Northern Colorado, but then also parents, on here to talk about some of the things that we're going through now, having to possibly work from home, having the kids there, having to still cook meals, having to try to stay healthy. And so this is kind of the plethora of guests that I wanted to have on here. And I wanted to have them go around and introduce themselves and tell us a little bit more about who they are, what they do, and maybe some of the things that they're experiencing. So I'm going to start with you, Nicole. I will unmute you here so that you can talk there. Okay.
Hi, everyone. So I am Nicole Sattler. I am a nutritionist, the nutritionist behind Nourish Nutrition. And I'm so happy to be here sharing some of my favorite tips and tricks to keep your family healthy during this very unusual time. Some of the things that we're struggling with, most parents can relate, but every kid wants to have snacks all day long. They never stop eating. And so you're wondering, when am I going to be able to take a break from cooking and continually having to provide these kids with snacks? So hopefully I can help you with some of those ideas and also ways to stay healthy while you're at home.
Awesome. Okay. We are going to move to Michele.
Hello, my name is Michele, and I am a mom of 4 kids, 20-year-old, 17-year-old, 15, or actually almost 15, and 10. So I've got 4 kiddos at home. They're all schooling online, college, high school, middle school, and elementary. And then my husband is also working from home. I'm working from home mostly. I am a nurse. And so it's definitely challenging just keeping everyone happy. And I know Nicole is going to talk about nutrition, and Jason's going to talk about just importance of physical exercise. And I really wanted to touch on just mental and emotional health and just really maintaining that for your family, because I believe that as a mom and as a parent, we really set the tone for our home, whether, as just an adult, even if you're single or have roommates. So keeping your emotionally strong during this kind of crazy time.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. And Jason.
Hi, my name's Jason Phillips, and I'm a collegiate strength and conditioning coach. And I too am working from home like most all of us. And we've got a 14 and a 12-year-old. And, I think just to piggyback a little bit on Michele, I think the physical activity component is huge. Being able to find some things and some time and some structure for that during your day. But I think it's as much, it's as impactful for your mental health as well. Being able to get outside or get your heart rate up or get just a little bit sweaty kind of helps manage that too. Because on top of cooking meals and cleaning up and laundry and managing house stuff and making sure the kids are in their books and stuff, there's a lot that falls on our plate right now. So being able to structure your day and have a little bit of time for some physical activity, I think, is very important.
All right. So I want to have you guys, being in some, health and wellness and fitness types of occupations, what have you experienced? What have you seen maybe on social media when you're just kind of scrolling through that you've seen your friends maybe either are doing well at it, or maybe they are letting go of different things where they're relaxing because they're at home? What have you seen? First of all, Nicole, the more eating of area. What are you seeing that's good? What are you seeing that's bad?
I'm seeing a lot of people. I mean, obviously, the thing that I love the most is that we are cooking again in our own homes and sitting down with our families more than we would have. Sure, if we're working, we might not be having lunch together, but we're enjoying breakfast together, dinners together. Those are no longer happening on the go, which I think is a huge bonus to this time right now. And something that I've seen that's negative, I think people just being frustrated with food supply and maybe some food shortage and just being frustrated with not knowing when or how you can get food, I think is causing a lot of stress and anxiety for people. And then I've also seen a lot of people, including myself, I'm not going to lie, but I think people are drinking a lot more, which can be really unhealthy. So I would say that those are the two things.
Okay. And then what about you, Michele? I know that you're not as much on social media, but lots of friends and family that you see. What are some of the things that you're noticing just as a mom, whether it concerns you or whether it's something that you're seeing that you're like, oh, that's cool, maybe I can implement that? Are there any good things, bad things that you're seeing?
Well, I think one of the big things is, for me personally, what I realized is just that alone time, because your routines, you're getting up, going to work, going to school, all of that has changed. And I went for a walk by myself the other day when it was nice, and I was like, I never am alone anymore. And so really that's what got me thinking about just the mental and emotional and how important it is to take care of you, because as the saying goes, you can't give from an empty cup. So if you're not just taking those few minutes, whether that means you get up earlier now that the kids are all home, or, it's later at night, whatever it is, taking those times. And I see that with other moms who are just constantly pouring into their kids and having to do math again, which is a whole different subject when I was taking math in middle school and elementary. So some of those things, just can be super frustrating. And then you have the news on and just, it gets overwhelming, and that's what you're focused. So really trying to just, take a step back, look at what's important. And so those are some of the things probably that I've seen in taking care of yourself and your family.
Yeah. I was just sitting here thinking when you were saying that we should just have like these mom meetup Zoom calls, because I'll take the math on. And it's like, all the moms are on there. And then if you want to send them to me, like I'll do the math. Like I came home and I started washing dishes and all of a sudden there's a math problem. I'm like, oh, bring it over here. Let me take a look at it. I'm like, oh, I'll take the math problems. Maybe I can send my kids over to something else for you. But I was thinking that might be something that who knows where we're going to go, with all of this. But okay. So going to Jason. So what have you seen? I mean, you're kind of out and about, you're constantly on different calls with even, your athletes, coaches, things like that. What are some good things that you're seeing? I know it's hard to kind of keep track of athletes all the time because everybody's at home right now, but what are some of the good things, bad things that you're seeing, not only with athletes, but maybe your own friends or family or anything like that that's going on in the exercise world?
I think one of the good things is people are trying, even just being out in the neighborhood and riding bikes with the kids, and I know that, in some degree, it's probably in violation of the stay-at-home orders and whatever else. But I mean, there's just a ton of people out walking dogs, riding bikes, pulling wagons with younger kids in there, and I think that's important within the scope of your social distancing policies. But I think that's encouraging, and you kind of scratch your head a little bit. It's like, anytime you get online, you're seeing how-to videos to wash your hands. Well, what have people been doing up until this point in time? Maybe that is a function of the gyms being closed, that there's more and more people that are relegated to doing things outdoors. But I think that's encouraging that you see a lot of people out there. You see a lot of homemade gyms, and people making dumbbells out of concrete and pipe and building their own squat racks and things like that. So I think that's a positive. And with what I have to do on a day-to-day basis, there are some challenges with having elite level athletes being held accountable and responsible for training at home and training on their own with little to no equipment. So there are some challenges, but for most of those kids, they're the 1 or 2% that do that much more and work that much harder than everyone else, and that's why they're in the situation that they're in. So we're hopeful that this thing crest the hill a little bit, and we're able to get back to whatever our new normal is going to be. But I think that's my big takeaway is people are trying, and that's encouraging.
That's good. Who's making dumbbells out of concrete and pipe?
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram last night. There was a dad and his kid that were desperate times,
Wow.
desperate measures, I guess. You got to appreciate the ingenuity, but that's a little labor intensive for me, but that's kudos for finding a way.
Yeah, no kidding. All right. So let's get to kind of the advice, because I'm really interested in the advice. We'll start with you, Nicole. Seeing it sometimes can be frustrating when you go to the store, when you can't go to the store, or when you go and you can't find things, right? And then you're like, look at and maybe you weren't the best shopper before for food, and you're looking and you're opening your pantry, or you've got frozen green beans, or you've got things, and you're just like, I just want something healthy. So give us a little bit of your tips and advice. I know you've got some different things that I'm going to post here. First of all, this is Nicole's website that we're going to post up here. But share with us a little bit more about some of your tips and tricks of just staying healthy and having some healthy food in the home.
Okay, great. So one of the things that is really a struggle, like I had mentioned before, is not knowing the next time you can get to the grocery store, if you're having food delivered, when it's going to be delivered, what food you're going to get once it is delivered. So there's just so many unknowns right now that it can be very hard to meal plan or prep. So I think I would say my biggest advice at this point is to try and focus on eating as healthy as you can given the situation. Now, with that being said, I have created an online resource for you guys on a blog post special to this conversation that basically outlines different options for online grocery delivery, some really cool local farmers markets that are delivering food from farmers from the different vendors and farmers in the area. They've all kind of come together, and that's on a Facebook group. So all of those links can be found in that resource page. But not only grocery shopping, I mean, everything is kind of not postponed, but delayed more than normal. So if you're used to getting, a sunbasket or a Blue Apron delivery, you don't know that those are necessarily on track. And if you're trying to start one of those services new, it could be a couple weeks before you actually are able to see your first box or meal delivery kit sent to you. So my advice is if you feel comfortable, obviously your best bet is to go to the grocery store, because then you can see what produce is available. Obviously, fresh produce is ideal, but if there's a shortage for whatever reason, frozen fruits and vegetables are great. And canned vegetables are better than no vegetables. So the thing that you would want to watch for with canned vegetables is just that you're rinsing, as they can contain a lot of sodium, and just trying to find canned fruits that are canned in natural juices if you can. But again, the idea is to not stressing about what you're going to eat is going to create more issues. So just try and be flexible. So I don't know if you want me to touch upon this now, but one of my ideas for creating meals throughout the week is also in that blog post, but I can go through that a little bit later or now if you'd like to show what works with no matter what kind of fruits and vegetables and proteins you have. So did you want me to do that now?
I'm going to touch upon some of the things that, you can help us out with.
Okay. So I think if you focus on meal components more so than like a specific recipe and creating these different meals every day, it might make your life a lot easier. So what I mean by that is at the beginning of the week or whatever day works for you, do yourself a favor and either double a recipe or batch cook. So let's say I've got some vegetables that I want to roast in the oven. I cut up my vegetables. I keep some fresh to dip for snacks with hummus or guacamole or whatever your family likes. And then I roast some on a pan. And then throughout the week, I have those roasted vegetables already prepared. And that way I can throw it into a stir fry, into a taco or burrito bowl. I can make a pasta primavera with different fruits, and you put fruit in that, but different vegetables. So it's already ready. So it just takes the guesswork out of it, and you have vegetables, and you can create so many different meals with just pre-made, pre-roasted, pre-cut vegetables. There's so many things that you can do. So if you go to the grocery store, just whatever you like and you can find, you can implement it, and then you can add whatever sort of protein or grain or sauce that you want to make the next few meals throughout the week unique. So I think a lot can happen with, changing up a grain or a protein or a sauce can really completely change the meal utilizing the same basic meal components.
Awesome. What about, let's say like you're walking into your pantry and you've got all this like dried, boxed type of stuff or things that you have in the freezer. Any big recommendations on what we can do? You're probably like, oh my gosh, I don't have any.
No, I'm not perfect. It just kind of depends on what you've got. So you can make so many different pastas. I think probably everybody in America, whether you eat gluten or not, you've got some sort of pasta in your pantry. You can make millions of dishes with pasta. So I think that's another one. Do you have a specific item in mind that you'd like me
No, okay, so Michele and I, we talked about like frozen vegetables. Let's go to frozen vegetables then, because it's stuff that we all have. And I mean, Jason and I have talked to, and we thought, oh my gosh, if worst comes to worst, we could actually dig down into our layers of our extra freezer in the garage. And we probably have stuff in there that we would be able to pull out and make. So anything, if you've got bags of different, let's go frozen vegetables. What would be one of the
vegetables? Okay. So one thing that sometimes you are not in the mood to be creative, right? So do a Google search, say, what can I make with frozen peas? I actually did this not that long ago, just because I had a huge bag of frozen peas. My kids just love to eat them plain, but I was trying to think, how could I do something different with just the peas? And popped up like a really interesting recipe for a hummus type dip with frozen peas. So I think if you don't know necessarily what to do with it, do a Google search, send me a message on Facebook or Instagram. I love this kind of like troubleshooting where, hey, I've got
Okay.
this, that, the other. What could I make? Another go-to with anything frozen is throw it in a smoothie. I mean, most vegetables you cannot taste in a smoothie. If you've got frozen cauliflower, spinach, I've never tried peas in the smoothie, but hey, you could try it. I mean, things you could always add in fruits and nut butters and things like that to mask the flavor of whatever you're doing. They're obviously going to be very overpowering, like a banana. You can mask the flavor of most things with throwing a banana in the smoothie. So I think just try and get creative, and I'm here to help. If there's something that you've got in your freezer or in your pantry and you're like, what do I do with this? Reach out. I'm happy to troubleshoot your unique situation.
Okay. And Nicole has a great Instagram too. It's very visually appealing, and she's got recipes on there, and she shows different things that she makes as well. So follow her on Nourish Nutrition. And then before we move on to Michele, tell everyone a little bit more about what you do. So if people wanted to use your services, and get a hold of you, what exactly would you be able to do for them?
Well, right now it's a little bit unique. It might look a little bit like this, but I can help people find ways to create healthy habits that are sustainable. So whether that's somebody who suffers from an autoimmune disease like myself, I can help you navigate and choose foods that are going to help fuel your body and help with your autoimmune disease. Or if it's just somebody who wants to make better, healthier choices, I can go to the grocery store with you. I can help come clean out your pantry when it's socially acceptable. We can just do one-on-one.
But you could do it on FaceTime as well, though, or you could do it as a Zoom call too.
That's true.
People can still reach out to you and do that. They can show you their pantry or the garage or wherever they keep the rest of their food, and you could still provide that service for them too.
That is an excellent point. Yes, I could do that. And you have been bugging me for years to do some sort of cooking class. And so maybe since I've got, I don't know that I'd say a little bit more time, but I can't go anywhere and I'm cooking all the time. So I might even try and throw up a couple.
Nice.
See how you guys like that. So
okay, awesome. I am going to hold you accountable then. I love that idea.
One other thing I just want to mention before we go is the importance of drinking water. Make sure that you are consuming enough water each day, because it truly it helps every single system in your body function properly. So if you are dehydrated, everything is just going to start, falling apart. So stay hydrated, at least 64 ounces. If you can drink half your body weight in ounces, up to a gallon is my recommendation. But water is so important right now.
Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you. So let's move on to Michele and talk to us a little bit more about some tips that you might have just to kind of keep us maybe mentally and emotionally just stable a little bit here in the house with the kids and everything else going on around us.
Well, I think it's very important to develop rhythms to your day as much as you can with, my house, 6 people going, 6 different directions. So I like to get up and have my quiet time. We drink coffee together. It's been actually really fun having meals together, because that's something that's always been important. But when you have people in sports and, typically very active, that kind of gets pushed, you get that doesn't happen quite as often. So it's been really neat to have family meals. And the other thing that I encourage my kids to start the day off with is a gratitude journal, where you're starting out focusing on, name at least 3 things that you're thankful for. Because if you have the news on too much, or, you're talking about all the what ifs in the world, there's a lot of fear and anxiety that can happen. And so just redirecting those thoughts to focus on what's positive, and what you're thankful for and all the blessings that we do have, and just kind of shift that perspective. I've found that to be very helpful, just with my kids and with myself, just to kind of redirect. So that's one of the things, is starting with a gratitude journal, having some rhythms, trying to figure out, okay, what is this going to look like? When's everyone going to wake up, start their online school, have breakfast? And that just kind of helps, because my kids like order and structure, which most kids surprisingly do. And so that just helps them just feel that security. Another thing that we've done puzzles, which can be challenging and fun, but at first, everyone's like, I don't know if I want to do this, but that has, we had a 1,000-piece puzzle. They are hard to find, but if you can get one, it's a fun family activity. Doing game night. We even did a Zoom type of, I'm not sure, my brother-in-law set it up. He's the techie one. But we did a game with our extended cousins and family, and that was a blast. So that's a great way to connect relationally, because I feel like physically we're apart from our friends and our community, but we can still maintain those relationships. So I've even seen people set up like a Zoom meeting with girlfriends or, family friends, and be like, everyone get on at 7:00 and we're going to do this. And so just connecting relationally is super important. You can still, if you go to church, there's Bible studies throughout the week. There's more online churches and Bible studies, I think, than there ever has been. So that's something that's really exciting. And then my kids have also gone outside. We try to get outside if the weather is nice, and our family loves football, so we play football. We also do chores together. As being a nurse, definitely we got to keep things clean, and it's important to wipe down surfaces that are frequently used. So everyone, that's part of that daily rhythm, is making sure, things are still getting done and they're participating in the family. So, those are some ideas.
So as a nurse, and your daily rhythm or your daily routine of cleaning, because I'm really interested, is it something that you like stand there and hand out the Clorox wipes and everybody like disperses and has their own thing? Like, what's the routine for the cleaning?
So every couple of days, and I used to do it weekly, but now I'm increasing it a little bit, where we wipe down doorknobs, handrails, all the TV controllers, any kind of anything that they touch quite often, like a phone, light switches, anything that's high touch. They all have their Clorox wipes, their rags, and they go through and they know what to do. And I say, all right. And then, there's emptying the garbage and dusting. And you can never, with 6 people in the house, vacuuming could be constant.
And a dog.
Yes, and a dog. So those are, I would say those are the chores that happen. And emptying the dishwasher and I try to get them to help me cook, setting the table, just, cleaning up after themselves. Cause I definitely like order. I feel like when my home is a mess and cluttered and stuff is everywhere, it just makes me anxious. So my poor children have to live with my OCD in my family.
I'm not really too sure what you're talking about.
No, I think you can relate. But it's very good, at the end of the, in the evening before dinner. All right, everyone clean up. I don't want to see any more schoolwork. We need to put that away. That chapter is closed for the day. Let's focus on what we're going to do, for dinner. And then is it game night? Is it family devotions? What are we doing as family? We're also watching some interesting educational shows. That's my husband, finding some good documentaries to go over, and history, and the kids are actually loving it. So that's a lot of fun.
Nice. Okay. So like both you and I are medical professionals. And so when I get home, and I know you go in when you need to, I go in when I need to, but when you go home, what's your routine? Like for me, I change out of my clothes and I get into different clothes almost immediately.
Yeah.
If your family, somebody has to run to the grocery store or things like that, finally, my husband is wearing a mask to the grocery store. He kind of hemmed and hawed about it. But, what would be some of your recommendations as far as if you have to go to work or if you have to make these more types of trips that you need to go out and actually go grab something? What would be some of your recommendations when you get home?
Well, definitely shoes off. I immediately, like you said, change my clothes, and we, put them in the dirty wash, washing hands. I love the fact that everyone is so focused and there's more how to wash your hands out there than ever before. But it really, I used to say this all the time, like hand washing is the most important thing. It really is. So good hand washing makes a huge difference. I had to run out to the store because we were running low on supplies, and yes, I did wear a mask. I have my my antibacterial hand gel with me. So just being very conscious of my keys. If I have my cell phone with me, trying to only take like my credit card in. Just some very practical, the least, because if you think about anytime you open like you're going into the freezer section, you're opening the freezer door, you're touching the carts, you're touching all those things. And so your hands really are dirty. So that antibacterial gel before you get into your car. And then when you get home, I wipe down my car, I wipe down my keys. It's the real deal. So I'm probably a little paranoid, but I just, one of my kids is definitely a higher risk just with some of the stuff that he has. So I don't want to bring it home to him. So if there's anything that I can do, no shoes in the house. And, if I've been at work, I'll probably go and take a shower as soon as I walk in the door. So just get rid of all the germs.
Yeah. Well, those are really good ideas. Okay, we are going to head over to Jason, and I've already got one question here for Jason that I'm going to post is, hopefully it's coming up here. Does Jason have recommended sites for high school level athletes for at-home workouts? So sites, I know that we have some videos that we're going to play too, but talk to us a little bit more about what you're seeing and maybe some advice for people to do different workouts at home with some of the things that they have. Not everybody's going to go grab cement and pipe. Not everybody's going to, have homemade built gyms or whatever it is, or can afford to, purchase even a squat rack or whatever. So go walk us through what you're seeing and maybe some of the things. Let me know when you want me to play a video here. I will get that out.
Okay.
And if you have any websites or any different types of advice.
Yeah, that's I probably should have had a couple of links pulled up, but that's a great question. The one that I've used and sent to most of my college student athletes that are at home right now is a YouTube channel called Fitness Blender. So if you want to get on there and kind of surf around, it's got some stuff with little to no equipment. That's kind of the idea and the assumption with so many of these kids that we've sent home is you've got little to nothing to work with. So that's been that's been kind of a neat little rabbit hole that we've gone into is that Fitness Blender YouTube channel. So I think you can find some stuff on there, and they do a good job actually of kind of monitoring, and they've got some different options in terms of exercise intensity. So they'll model a higher intensity option versus something that's a little bit slower paced. So I would recommend getting on there and checking those guys out. I wish I was collecting a finder's fee, but yeah, there should be some great stuff on there. And
Okay.
again, with the understanding that what we're able to do at home with little to no equipment is going to look a lot different than what you're going to do in a weight room or a gym or anything like that. So just kind of having that understanding and that mindset and that mentality. And that's been actually one of the biggest adjustments for our student athletes. And lifting weights, you do a set of an exercise, 6, 8, 10, 12 reps, and then you rest, and your partner, your teammate goes, and you've got kind of some built-in downtime. And that's the biggest thing on some of these online channels and stuff is it's 20 to 30 minutes of activity and then you're done. So it's a little bit different type of training stimulus, but there's really some good stuff that's out there. I mean, of course, there's some stuff that's not very good either, but I think that's with anything.
Awesome. Okay. And then we've got some videos that you've put together that shows some different things that are easy for people to do at home. And when I play a video, you won't be able to hear him, but he is talking behind that. Do you want me to just play some of these different videos, and maybe we can stop and pause, and then you can talk?
I'm not sure what order you've got anything in,
Yeah.
but essentially, if you've got some, you might not be cooking with your cans of pork and beans, but if you're not using those, you can throw them in your backpack and do some squats with that and some books. And especially if you have a staircase or a set of stairs in your house, you got all you need. So
Okay,
yeah, we can take a look at some of those
so
videos.
here's the one with the squat. So let's watch this one here.
And for those of you who might want a little additional resistance or to kind of push yourself a little bit, you can load up one of the kids' backpacks with some household supplies.
Okay, the videos aren't playing very quickly, so we'll keep trying. But
Okay.
so that one, he's doing some squats, and then he's got a backpack on. I'll see if we can kind of get that loaded again here too. But he's got a backpack on, and I don't know what he's putting in, a book,
He's
and then
wearing
also
it on the front. He's putting in a dictionary and a can of pinto beans.
Okay.
So, like I said, whatever you've got, if it's bottles of water or milk jug or canned goods or whatever it is, if put that backpack on the front, put it on your chest, and then you can go to town. You can wear that around the house like a weighted vest where you're doing your chores and that sort of thing. You can wear that walking up and down the stairs. We've got some stair walk videos that I feel like are great. But end of the day, it's just my message is just activity. If you can get outside and go around the block a couple times, or even if you're not much of a runner, take a walk and then kind of look at your landscapes. Like, well, I'm going to jog to that neighbor's fence post or that next tree, and then I'll walk to the mailbox, and then I'll jog. Just finding creative ways to use what's around you to get some activity and exercise.
Talk to us about the stairs. I have some great videos, but I'm not too sure they're going to play. So why don't you walk us through what would you do on the stairs? And even if we can't play the videos, people can kind of imagine what it looks like here.
Well, I know mom's rules, no running in the house. Well, we're throwing that out the window during this quarantine. So if you've got a set of stairs, you run up the stairs, walk down, turn around and run back up. You can do skip a stair. You can hop up the stairs. Anything that we've got one. I don't know if the video will work, but where you walk up sideways. So instead of walking straight up the stairs, you turn to the side. You facing the left-hand side. You use your right leg to go up every single stair, and you get to the top, walk back down, get to the bottom, and change directions. Now use your left leg to walk, and you just go one stair at a time. You can do some step lunges. Noah's about 6 feet tall, so he can take about 3 steps at a time. But if you're not able to do that, then just go 2 at a time and kind of drop into a lunge and walk up the stairs. Push-ups on your knees if you can't do them on your toes. Some dips on the stairs. I think we had McKenna demonstrating some of those. So really it's just about being a little bit creative and getting out of your comfort zone a little bit, which is kind of what exercise is anyway, and finding ways to structure that in your day. We've got the whiteboard of truth in our house that has dish duty, dog duty, mailbox, what time music class, what time math is. So if it takes something like that, if it's just Post-it notes on the counter. I saw something online the other day. It was kind of funny. It's a picture of somebody's refrigerator door that was open, and then they just had a sign taped to the shelf that said, "You're not hungry, you're just bored. Shut the door." So stuff like that, whatever it takes to kind of remind you to, hey, now it's going to be my 15-20 minutes, and that's really all you need to be active.
Nice. Well, thank you guys very much. I'm sorry that the videos didn't play. I think we're just a little slow on the internet here today. But thank you guys so much for all of your advice, because we're all in this together. And I love that we're all parents and we're all living in the same area. And we all want to make sure that we can kind of help each other out with some of our expertise. Our expertise usually is pointing outwards to whoever we're helping, whether it's patients or other people who need, different types of dietary, nutritional, things, or people who need the exercise, or your athletes or something like that. But there are also times where it's time to turn in and help each other out with some of the things that we know. I didn't talk about ears, obviously, but it's more about learning how are we going to get through this, and some of the great advice and the ideas that people can kind of come together and help push out. So I really appreciate you guys for being here. And if there aren't any other questions, if you have questions and you're watching this back on the replay, just post it, because we can tag each other and make sure that it gets answered. I will have Jason come on and put some of the websites that he's got that he can send out. And then I did also put Nicole's blog and then her resource guide that she put together for the show tonight, just to make sure that you guys have some great resources for some different types of foods and how to keep them actually lasting longer, I believe is also in her resource guide. So feel free to do that and reach out. But other than that, thank you guys so much for being here and for sharing your expertise. And I will be back next week at 5:00 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on a new episode of Just Connect. Next week's going to be fun because I have a really dear friend that is going to talk about online and meeting etiquette. So I think that's going to be really fun. And so join us next week on Just Connect. All right. Thank you. Bye.